From Metal Bat for $5. Pepperidge Farm remembers when Antifa mobilized against an anti-war protest in D.C. following Trump's Syria airstrikes. You want to comment on that, Bronx?
No, it was an anti-neocon protest. They don't give a shit if it was white people doing the exact same thing. They're just mad at the Jews. They don't care about the policy. Continue.
Wait. Okay. No, wait. Hold on a second. I want to challenge that for a second. I was not paying attention. Which policy are you talking about?
Defending Israel or whatever.
Well, what? Oh, just whatever. Defend that. Like that's just a thing to brush off.
You like wouldn't care. You wouldn't care what was happening to Palestinians if it was being done in the name of the white ethno state. So it's not a moral concern for Palestinians. It's anger at Jews.
That's such a fucking lie, Bronx. That's such a lie.
Wait a minute, Mike. Are you coming out as anti-concentration camp now?
What?
Are you coming out as anti-concentration camp?
Hold on a second, Bronx. Neither me nor Mike support shooting a baby in the face because he's different. That's only something.
So how can you support Hitler?
Hitler never fucking did that.
Hitler shot babies in the face because they were different.
Hitler never did that shit. He never did that. That's fucking
Hitler
bullshit.
Hitler never killed women and children.
Everything Jews accuse Hitler of is what they do.
I just want to get an answer.
Okay.
Hitler's troops kill women and children for being different. That he killed them for being Jews.
Can I answer? Okay. So, when the Germans went into Poland in 1939, there was a situation where an SS soldier put a bunch of civilians in a synagogue and burned the synagogue, killed 20 civilians, 20 Jewish civilians. The SS put him on a court-martial and had him shot for war crimes. The Israeli military doesn't fucking do that. Amon Goth, famous for Schindler's List, the concentration camp guy, he did kill many Jews, but guess what?
He spared the women and children.
He was found in a mental institution by the SS who convicted him of war crimes. So what you're saying about the Nazis is not the same as what the Israelis do, which is actually where they kill women and children and no one puts them on trial. No one has them.
So the Nazi policy was to keep women and children in concentration camps but not kill them.
Well,
can you show me somewhere where there were prohibitions policy-wise against killing women and children?
The Auschwitz had a maternity ward where people could give birth. They had it was clean. There was very. Why would they do that if they were wanting to kill women?
Oh my God! This is the swimming pool argument again. Oh my God! The swimming pool argument.
If you have a program,
Bronx, that's not an argument.
That's not an argument, man.
No, it's not an argument. It's not an argument.
You are not making arguments here.
No, motherfucker! I'm calling you on your own thing. You're talking about Israel executing women and children. The Nazis were notorious for slaughtering women and children. There's fucking evidence of them doing it systematically. There's evidence. There's footage. There's testimonials. Are you telling me that Hitler never killed Jewish women and children?
What Israel is doing, though. Notice how you're trying to distract.
You don't give a fuck about what's happening. You give a fuck about who it's happening to. That's it. You only care that Jews are doing it. If there was Nazis doing it, you go fuck those brown Muslim babies. You don't give a fuck about those people. You give a fuck about color.
That sounds like what you guys do.
Never have I never.
It sounds like you're projecting.
Never have I ever condoned.
First of all, are you willing to be critical of Israel or not? Because it seems like every time the subject
I've always been critical of Israel, but you want to take my words.
Let's sit here and talk about Israel then. Let's talk about Israel.
I'm not speaking another word until you answer whether or not Hitler killed women and children deliberately.
Deliberately? No.
Mike, answer. How? No. How were there prohibitions against killing women and children in the Nazi regime?
Yes. It was called the Geneva Convention.
Yeah, there's prohibitions against killing women and children by the U.S. military too.
The Nazis abided by the Geneva Convention?
You want to start talking about atrocities in World War II?
Let me give them the history real quick.
Clearly, you want to talk about Israel. So
let me give them the history real quick, and then we'll go to Israel. Okay, the history is this. The Nazis did abide by the Geneva Convention, except on the Eastern Front, where there was a partisan fighting, where the Jewish communists didn't abide by the Geneva Convention either. So on the Eastern Front,
didn't fucking abide by it.
The Soviets didn't do it either. So what happened was that the Nazis went down to their level in many cases. But the reality of the matter is that the Nazis did abide.
Oh, they didn't wanna. I got you. They didn't wanna. Stalin made them do it. It's true. Stalin made them do it. It's not their fault.
The partisans made them do it. The partisans.
This is
were
why
fighting
Partisans.
people think you're
strange.
fucking. This is why people think you're fucking dishonest because we're talking about political
No,
issues
people
of the
don't think
day,
that.
and
Very
you want
specific
to,
people think that I'm dishonest.
You want to start talking about atrocities in World War II.
I'm just asking for consistency. If you're concerned about genocide, then you should be concerned about all genocides.
What about the Boers, man? What do you have to say about what's happening to the Boers?
I
in
don't
South
think
Africa?
that what's happening to those people is funny or right or any of that stuff. It's
Will
wrong
you
what's
condemn
happening
it?
there.
Will
It's
you
not. It's
Will you
not.
condemn it? Will you condemn it? Will you condemn
It's
farm
not
murders?
a-
Will you
it's-
condemn farm murders?
It's a crime wave,
You won't
and it's
condemn
it's a
it.
criminal
You won't
problem,
condemn
but
it.
it's not
No,
a.
you
It's
won't
I
Will you
can
condemn it?
I
You won't
condemn the criminals that are doing those acts. I condemn those
That-
murders, but I
Well,
will not
it
acknowledge
just
that
so happened to
it
be
is
of the
not
same race.
genocide of a race because 40% of the people killed by these criminals are black.
Well, you'd like to see
So
a
what,
citation
It's not
on
a
that.
racial. It's not a racial genocide.
So
I'd like to
Africa
see a
check.
citation on that.
Many whites were lynched during the Jim Crow era. Will you say that lynching has a specific racial flavor to it or not? Will you deny that too?
27% of people lynched were white.
Yeah. So will you
According to
deny
the US
that lynching?
government.
Okay, but they weren't lynched for their skin color.
They were lynched
Yeah,
for cattle
lynched.
rustling.
Just like the black farmers
Same
that
thing with
might
the blacks.
die
The blacks that were lynched
are
because they
being
committed
killed for their
crimes.
skin color. Yeah.
Okay, but I'm denouncing those crimes. But I'm
So
not
wait.
going to say it's a racial genocide. It can't be because if it's not being perpetrated against a race of people. It's
What
being
about
perpetrated
Kill the
against a
Boer?
class of people.
So if
Farmers.
if you sing a song called "Kill the
It doesn't
Boer,"
make it
well,
less wrong. That's been
if you sing
illegal
a
in the.
song-
You seem
That
to
song
think it
has been
does make
illegal
it-
since the 90s
You
under
seem
hate
to
speech
think-
laws in Africa. That song has been illegal.
That is
That clip
not
is from
true.
1994 of them singing "Kill the Boer."
That song
It's been
is not
illegal.
That is not
Google
illegal
it.
in South
Google it.
Africa. You
It's
Google
illegal.
it.
They have hate speech laws in South Africa. You can't sing that song.
Yes.
It's
No,
illegal.
no, hold on. They have hate speech laws, but it doesn't apply to that song.
It does.
No,
It
oh,
was
actually,
specifically
no.
had cases about that
No.
fucking
Julius
song.
Malema.
Check it.
Jacob Zuma was
Julius
singing it
Malema.
just last month. What the fuck?
No,
are you talking
he-
about?
Julius
He
Malema
wasn't even
gets-
president last month.
Jacob
Julius
Zuma.
Malema
I
gets
should
up
say
on
he's
stage
Malema.
and he
He's-
fucking
that's-
talks about killing white people all the fucking time, and everyone knows what he's talking about. He sent.
No.
He
Oh,
fucking
dog whistle's
sent
good,
his-
okay.
He fucking sent his
Dog
people out to chop Eugene Terra Blanche up with fucking machetes. Okay, Julius Malema is a racial fucking criminal. He is an anti-white racial criminal. He wants to eliminate white people.
I don't
And
support.
he-
I don't support anti. I don't
Okay,
support
and that's
anti-white
fine.
violence. I
That's
don't.
fine. I believe you. I believe
Except,
you. Bron.
except when Antifa does it. Come
But
on.
the thing is,
No,
the
I
question-
don't.
Yeah, but you do support it when Antifa does it because Antifa
If
only
Antifa
ever.
shows up and goes, "I'll kill you, white boy," then yeah,
You think
charge
that
them under
Antifa
hate
hasn't
speech.
said
Yeah,
that?
they do that all the time,
They
bro.
do that fucking all the time.
If they arrested Antifa person who goes, "I tried to kill
if
this
they
white
arrested-
motherfucker," then there we go.
If they, who's they? You mean the neoliberal state that you support?
This is like Alex Jones stuff. Go ahead, Mike.
What's
No,
Alex Jones stuff?
What's like Alex Jones stuff? You just said
The-
they. Who are you
the-
talking about? You say
the-
they.
the-
When you say they arrested Antifa.
Hold on. Now
Who's
he
they?
wants to talk about Alex Jones. Now we want to talk about Alex Jones. How many fucking you guys always talk about us having fake news when that's mostly alt-light stuff like Cernovich and shit? But really, look at all the fucking fake hate crimes you guys go clutch your pearls about. Then it turns out like the fag that you were whining about on Twitter that claimed that homophobes beat him up. It turns out that he jumped himself. Like, how many
Supposedly
fake-
like,
how much fake-
You're making an anecdotal case.
Well, no,
Please.
actually, we're talking about fake news here. Just like fake news is an
Oh
anecdote.
God, we're
All
having
the-
a
all the hate
we're having a
crimes-
basic bitch conservative argument about fake news. This is hot
You
stuff.
brought it up. You brought it up. You brought
Well,
up.
does the
Alex.
No,
media
my-
lie or not, Bronx? Does the media lie or not? That's the issue. You can say
Sure.
basic bitch, you can try and characterize the kind of person that says it, but the question is there a
Capitalist
problem?
capitalist media lies
Okay, we
because
agree.
it's
We agree.
monetized media is
We agree.
paid and they act in the interest who pays them. Now
Yeah,
I don't
and who pays
believe
them?
that
Who pays them,
the
Bronx? Who pays
Jews,
them? Who
the
pays them?
Jews, the
Wait.
Jews.
Wait, but this isn't. You're mocking it because you don't want to look at the objective facts of the situation. Objectively, do Jewish people have a disproportionate and like vastly disproportionate stake in the media?
Jewish
Over-
people are
well
not
over
the Jews.
50%.
Jewish people are not the Jews.
wait,
They
wait,
are not
wait,
the
wait.
Jews.
But do Jewish people act collectively or not? They have their own ethno state that's murdering Palestinians. You know, they have like effective
Israel's not an
control over
ethno
the
state.
media.
Israel's not an ethno state. Japan's not an ethno
Oh.
state. It's not. It's not.
So what do you
Is
call
it
a
the
nation
Jewish
that has
state?
racial citizenship laws?
Is it the
Listen
Jewish
to
state?
me.
Is
Listen
it the
to
Jewish
me.
state?
If it's legal
Bronx,
for people to race mix in your country, it's not a Yes, it is.
You can't marry a person of another race in Israel.
First of all, Bronx,
as long as they're Jewish, you can race mix in that country. Palestinians and Israelis race mix legally all the time in that country. Please, next question.
Listen, that's your idiosyncratic definition of what an ethno-state is. Is the Jewish state committed to advancing
Mikey, you can't preserve an ethno-state when race mixing is legal.
Bronx, you're trying to distract from the actual substantive question you know is coming.
No, I'm trying.
Is it there to advance and protect the Jewish people and their interests or not?
It's there to advance and protect the state of Israel and not Jewish people living in Florida.
Really? Jewish people living in Florida have a very intimate relationship with the state of Israel.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Florida and met Jewish people there? They have a very they go back and forth between Israel. They donate money to Israeli causes. They've got vacation homes there and vice versa. They're very into. There are
plenty of left-wing American Jews that don't.
And there are plenty of left-wing American Jews,
and they're actually the majority. The majority of
not the majority of left-wing Jews.
The majority of
you don't know what these people are saying behind closed doors is what is really going on.
What about white evangelicals that vehemently support Israel?
Well, let's what about
that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. The majority of Zionists in the United States are white, my man.
I disagree with them. So what? There you go.
Eric, am I wrong?
That's what about. I disagree with them. I think those people are
the majority of Zionists in this country are white.
Can I support my own people and still think that a lot of them have bad ideas?
Don't grant them that bullshit. They're a select number
of It's statistically impossible for the majority of Zionists in this country to be Jews.
Okay, hey,
hold on a second. Statistically impossible.
This is because question I
politically disagree with Christian Zionism, so there,
that's fine.
boom,
that's fine. Yeah, that's a straw man, because I'll tell you what, there are probably dozens of Jewish organizations in America, and all of them are Zionists, including Jewish Voice for Peace. So, which Jewish organization do you know that is distinctly anti-Zionist?
I'm talking about people.
Yes,
my point is that the majority of human beings in the United States of America who are Zionists are not Jewish. They're white Christians.
We're not contending that perhaps numerically.
America, both political parties are pro-Israel, and most of the voters of the two major parties are pro-Israel.
Why is that?
I'm not happy about it, Mike. I'm not happy about it. I'm not pro-Israel.
Bronx, relax. Chill out for a second. Both political parties in the U.S. are pro-Israel. If you want to get an absolute lockstep bipartisan vote on anything, it's going to be something to do with Israel. And yet Jewish power is just a conspiracy, right?
It's not a power that Millie from Rhode Island, the Jewish lady, can wield. It's the state of Israel. It's not individual Jewish people can just walk in and go, my power.
Bronx, by your own fucking theory, she gets privilege by her belonging to a group.
Not in America. She doesn't. Maybe in Israel, but not here. Her Jewishness is not a privilege in the United States of America.
Sure,
nobody can say anything bad about
it. Now I'm starting to think that Bronx is a shill, because I don't even see anarcho-communists defending Zionism like this.
I'm not defending Zionism. I'm making a differentiation between Zionism.
You're trying to separate Zionism from Jews, which is the most retarded thing I've ever heard of in my life.
Jews themselves say that that's anti-Semitic. You know that, right?
Exactly.
Jews
I have no idea
who
whose Jews are.
Well,
I have no idea how.
Go and read the Jewish press, and you'll hear it all.
Jewish
the time.
People are individual human beings.
Okay, but do Jews? Okay, fine. And look, I'll grant that there's probably some outliers that are. There's Gilad Atzmon, like Noam Chomsky was very critical, etc. Fine, that's all fine. Yeah. That's all fine. But Antifa goes and attacks Gilad Atzmon, of course, right? But then the question is this: do Jews act collectively?
No.
Not. They have their own fucking state.
The diaspora are not agents for the state of Israel.
That is such fucking bullshit. You fucking.
It's not true. It's not substantiated. No.
Literally, Bronx. That is actually hitting levels.
Was literally defending Israel shooting 70 women and children in Gaza.
What the fuck is AIPAC?
AIPAC is a political organization that every single American Jew is not subscribed to. Thank you. Next question.
No, some of them are with Jewish Voice of Peace, which is also a Zionist group.
That's another group that not every Jew in America is.
Not every Jew. That's such a fucking stupid argument. Not every. Who cares?
Isn't your argument not all white people? Isn't that the argument against white privilege?
White people. I have never made this argument. The
So
point,
are all
the
white
argument
people
against-
accountable
the
for
argument
slavery?
against white pri- the
Are
argument
all white
against-
people accountable for slavery? Are all white people accountable
You know
for
how
Jim
many people
Crow?
right now?
According
You know
to
how many
anarcho-
white people alive are
according to
accountable for slavery?
anarcho-communists, yes.
You know how many white people right now alive are accountable for slavery? Fucking zero. Okay,
But they're
so it's
living
not
in.
even not.
They're
It's
living.
literally
They're
all
living
are not.
on. They're
That's their own
living
bullshit
in.
fucking rhetoric. Like I don't.
They're living in
that's your own
homes bought
fucking-
from money from slavery that was inherited. You know.
How many people? How many people? You want to know what
Just
this
because you
all
pass-
applies to? No.
Just
listen,
because you
listen.
pass your
Bronx,
money down doesn't mean
Bronx.
that the blood gets washed off it.
Bronx,
Okay.
do you know what the fucking percentage of white people that owned slaves was? It was like less than 1%. You know what the
Even-
percentage of
even-
Jews that opposed Israel is? Less than fucking 1%. So the fucking
Even-
actual way it lines up is exactly the opposite.
Even the
It's not all
Peckerwoods
white people
got
that are owning
privilege
slaves.
from Jim
Well,
Crow.
that's your own
Even the
that's your own
Peckerwoods.
bullshit
that's pretty
anti-white
funny.
argument.
It's
That's your
pretty
own
funny.
political
You call-
bullshit anti-white shit.
No, you call people Peckerwoods, but if someone were to say kike, you would fucking whine about
Yeah,
it.
you fucking flip out. And you know who actually was hurt by slavery was the white working class.
Mhm.
Because they were priced out of jobs and kept poor and they weren't able to. No, this is not even a fucking joke. Why do you think the South isn't industrialized? Why do you think whites in the South are poor? They were kept poor because the agriculture jobs and this work and this labor was priced out by fucking
It couldn't
slaves.
be that other white people just wanted to fuck you over because they're
Of
rich
course
and they're
they
dumb.
did.
Hold on a
No
second.
one's fucking denying that.
Hold on a second. So why is it that white people are a collective body, but not Jews, who are the most nepotistic race in
I
Yeah,
said-
because the minority of whites, a tiny
I said
minority
other
of whites
white people.
own slaves. A
I said
tiny
other
minority.
white
No,
people.
shut up for a second. A tiny minority of whites own slaves, and you want to hold all of us accountable. Meanwhile, like 98%.
Everybody benefited from it,
98%
even the ones that did not own slaves.
That's literally not true. White workers in the South that were not slaves
Yes,
did not
they
benefit.
did.
They were literally fucking priced out of labor.
Were they
and kept
allowed
poor.
to? Were they
were
allowed
priced
to
out of
own
labor and kept
property
poor.
that they passed down to their children, which gave them an advantage in
Everybody
capitalism,
except
generation
blacks.
by
Wait, no,
generation
Bronx,
by
Bronx,
generation?
Bronx, relax. I
Mm.
understand what your argument is. Every white person that didn't
Mhm.
own slaves was not a beneficiary of slavery. In fact, they were
Yes,
hurt
they were
it.
by law.
And
Actually,
everybody,
by
and
law.
everybody, no,
By
because
law.
what you're saying is not being a slave is a privilege. No,
Mhm.
being a slave.
Yes, it is. The right to
particularly-
life and the
No,
right to
that is-
freedom is a fucking privilege, my man. The right to live and not be killed is freedom. That's
No,
a
you
privilege.
haven't
Freedom is a
exactly-
motherfucking
wait a
privilege.
second. Wait a
What
second.
exactly-
Did the European immigrants in the North have that privilege? Because they died in the factory.
What about the fucking people that died in
Come
fucking factory
on.
fires and
Those
shit? You're so
people-
full of shit, dude.
Wait
You're
a
so
minute.
fucking
Were
full of
those
shit.
were
This is
those
such a
people?
fucking- This is such
were
an
those
obvious
people
anti-white fucking
slaves?
attack.
Let it-
And you're not even paying
Were
attention.
those people
wait a
paid
second.
for their labor?
Hold on a second. That's a fucking ANCAP argument. Those
Yeah,
people.
no,
those
Bronx-
people-
No, I'm not saying it's right.
Bronx anarcho-capitalist.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's different. It's a different
So
wrong.
you're saying that
It's a
white
different
factory workers
wrong.
in the 20th century were privileged. Get the fuck out of here.
No.
Bakunin would call that slavery. Your anarcho-communist theorists would call that
Dude, your
slavery.
race, your fucking race baiting
I don't
shit is
believe
all
in
the way
wage.
of your
I don't
actual
believe in
leftist
wage
belief.
labor.
This is
I
why
don't
the left
believe
is
in
a
wage
fucking joke.
labor.
This is why
But
you're a fucking
you cannot
joke. No, you
compare
wanna say that
chattel
workers-
slavery.
No one's
You cannot
comparing
compare
it.
Wait,
You're saying that people.
Let
No,
it-
no, no. You're
people
fucking
who were.
washed
Let
up.
it- let
This
me
is
finish,
such
let me
garbage, Bronx. You are trying to say that fucking poor factory workers, because they weren't slaves, are
No, but
privileged.
they
No,
were free
slavery-
under law. They were free
Yeah,
under
they were free
law.
under law.
They
And
weren't
everybody
slaves under
other than-
law. The black people were slaves under
Yes,
law,
and
so
that-
they had no chance. The white people, I care about the
But that's
Triangle
not
Shirt Factory. I care about all that stuff, but it's not exactly the same thing. It's not chattel slavery. It's a wage slavery. It's a different kind of slavery. They're not exactly the same. It's fine. They're
But that's
both
not- it's not
wrong.
like
They're
a fucking
both
privilege.
slavery, are they
Then
not?
why, how are you calling it a privilege?
I didn't say it was a privilege
Yeah,
to
you
die in a
just
fucking fact.
did.
I said, did the Triangle Shirt Factory happen in fucking
Did they have
Mississippi,
white
bro?
privilege?
Did it happen? Did
Did
it
they have white-
happen
did
in
those people have
Mississippi?
white privilege?
It
Did those people
happened
have
in
white
the same
privilege?
country. It happened in the same country.
It was after
You know
slavery
why it
was
didn't happen?
illegal
You know
in
why
this
it didn't
country.
happen?
Jesus Christ.
It didn't
Go ahead,
happen
Mike.
because the fucking slavery kept the South from industrializing, and it kept actual workers from
That's
being able to
not,
have.
that's not accurate. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's a bunch of bullshit.
Bro.
The cotton gin was invented when slavery was still gone, man. Don't give me shit about it's not
Yeah,
supposed to
and slavery held back.
industrialize.
Slavery
It was an
held back progress.
agricultural. It was
It
an
held back
agricultural economy, and like all forms of capitalism is dependent on some form of slavery, legal, illegal. It's the same. It's all the same shit.
If it's
No,
all the same shit,
people-
why are you saying
people
All
who
the same
died
shit,
in
then
the-
Why are you saying white people are privileged because they weren't slaves?
No, you're comparing people who lived.
it's all the same
Excuse me.
shit? You said.
Oh,
You're
same shit.
comparing the
No, it's all
privilege
the same
of
shit.
white
All the
people
same
who
shit.
lived when black
Bronx, but it's
people were
all the same
legally
shit.
property. And to people 50, 60 years later who lived when everyone legally wasn't forced to be a slave. Eventually, those people did get labor rights.
That white people have privilege today because of slavery.
Yes.
Wait, no.
Yes.
This is a
over
great
black
example.
people. Yes.
This is a great example of the disingenuous arguments I've been dealing with for the last 2 hours.
I know. This is
under your
ridiculous.
own anarcho-capitalist theory of Bakunin and Proudhon.
Anarcho-capitalist.
Well, that's basically what you're arguing here.
Anarcho-communist.
No. I'm just making a distinction between
anarcho-communists. Do not make that distinction, at least not theoretically. They believe all wage labor is a form of slavery because it's not. Because under anarcho-communist theory, you don't choose to work; you have to work.
They're
just
different.
Like the black slaves
Yes,
did.
they're both slavery. No, they're not the exact same kind of slavery. They're all equally morally wrong. Is that consistent enough for you?
Yes, that's consistent.
Yes, sir.
If that's consistent, then it's not a privilege. If they're all equally oppressive,
I'm not saying
it's not a privilege.
Holy shit. You're separating something that happened in the North from something that happened in the South almost by a century.
There was slavery in the North.
Why do details matter? Why do details matter? What a great debate. What is it? He's bringing up all these fucking details. What do you mean? He's challenging the meaning of words and shit? He's asking for dates? He wants things to... He's asking about locations of shit that happened.
Using the argument and making it semantic. That's like a Sargon tactic, and it's really lame.
It's not semantic to ask specific questions. It's not semantic to ask what were the circumstances of one situation, what were the circumstances of another.
That's like literally what you're trying to not talk about. You're literally trying to not talk about it because what my point was when we were talking about Jews in Israel, and this is the point I actually want to get back to, is that when we talk about slavery and slave owners, we're talking about a tiny percentage of the population that actually owned them and benefited from slavery. And you're saying I say like not all whites.
Jim Crow. Like it's Jim Crow.
Let me finish, bro. Black people actually benefited from that, but that's another story. Unless you think that white people automatically like spread some magical thing to blacks just by being around them. But
hold on a second. So white people didn't benefit. Shut up. You said shut up 100 times. Here we go.
We are not.
Let's go to Jim Crow because that affects. There are people alive. There are people alive today. You want to talk about people being alive? There are people alive today that benefited from Jim Crow.
So both whites and blacks benefited from Jim Crow.
Let's do it then. How did blacks benefit from? No, shut up. How did blacks benefit from Jim Crow? Finish your point.
Because business competition.
What?
They
all have their own businesses in black areas.
Blacks under Jim Crow had a lower crime rate than Italians and Irish in urban spaces.
And on top of that, they also
I'm sure the crime rates in Iraq were lower under Saddam Hussein. It doesn't mean that the people were living better. It just means that they were
they absolutely were living better. Here we go. Defending the Iraq war. Here we go. Neoliberal blocks.
Oh my God.
Neoliberals. But anyway, that's another point. The point about Jim Crow, though, is that some of the best, like Thomas Sowell has a whole book on that, actually, on how black families work together.
You know my opinion on Thomas Sowell before I even get my words.
I'm the guy that doesn't want to live next door to Thomas Sowell.
That's right. I don't want to live near Thomas Sowell. He's scum. Okay.
I'm
not gonna take some fucking.
What's so bad about it? What's so terrible about it?
I'm not gonna go into it. You know exactly what my problem with Thomas Sowell is.
Well, I disagree with Thomas Sowell, but I've never said he was scum. Here we have Bronx saying that this black guy is scum because he has different ideas.
Thomas Sowell is scum, and most black people would agree with me that Thomas Sowell is scum. He's a house slave.
With Thomas
Please.
Sowell. I'm not saying that he's
but hold
scum.
on, man. Stop pigeonholing what I'm saying. I actually don't agree with Thomas Sowell's ideology. What I am saying is the statistics in his book are not political opinions.
He didn't like make up
their actual census data and actual.
So you're saying he's just lying?
In the 40s.
No, I'm saying that he's selectively shaping data to give an impression.
But is the data correct or not?
I can shape any data I want.
That's
how data works. That's how data works. That's how data works.
That's how data works for a fucking Marxist like yourself.
That works for any person who's talking about politics. You take the data. Alternative hypothesis, his entire channel is about taking data and clawing it into the positions he wants to have.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I'll grant you that. Hold on. I'll grant you that people can interpret data according to their ideology.
That's correct.
What isn't for dispute is that he has actual marriage records. He has census and crime records that show
none of those numbers.
Let me finish.
None of those. Okay.
Let me finish, and then you go. He has census records and marriage records that show that blacks were getting married at higher rates. They had more intact families